Welcome to our channel HASHMICLINICS.
So when you think of acupuncture, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Needles, right? But what if the real secret isn't the needles themselves, but the ancient, incredibly detailed map they follow? Today, we're going to explore that map. It's a whole philosophy of energy and balance that sees our bodies not as machines, but as these dynamic, living ecosystems. Let's dive in. To really get this, we have to start with a concept that is, well, literally everywhere. Just look around. The world is built on opposites that actually define each other. You've got day and night, hot and cold, being active versus being at rest. They seem like they're fighting, but they're really partners in this constant dance that creates, well, everything.
In traditional Chinese medicine, there's a name for this universal dance, Yin and Yang. And let's be super clear, this isn't about good versus evil, not at all. It's this beautiful idea that everything in the universe is made of two opposing forces that are also completely dependent on each other. You literally can't have one without the other.
All right, so for our first section, the duality of everything, we're going to break down these energetic building blocks. We really need to get a feel for what yin and yang are as these huge universal forces before we can see how they apply to our own health. So here's the key. Yin and yang aren't really things. They're more like qualities or tendencies. Think of yang as the doing energy. It's hot, active, outward, the force that makes things happen. Yin is its perfect counterpart. It's the being energy, cool, passive, nourishing. It's the substance and the fuel that makes all that yang action even possible. And hey, this is not some new idea. This quote from the Ling Shu, an ancient medical text, shows that this dynamic has been seen as the engine of all change for thousands of years. It's not just a neat concept. In this worldview, it's like the source code for reality itself. Okay, so in section 2, your body in balance, we're going to take this huge cosmic idea and bring it right down to earth. We'll see how this dance plays out on a much more personal level, inside our own bodies, across our entire lives. You know, this timeline just lays it out so perfectly. Our lives are basically a story of shifting yin and yang. We kick things off with this explosion of yang energy, birth, growth, all that running around as kids. Then we hit maturity, this peak of balanced vitality, kind of like the height of summer. And then, as we age, those energies naturally start to fade, just like the world moves from autumn into the quiet of winter. Now, inside the body, this whole duality is represented by two absolutely essential concepts. First, you have qi. That's the yang energy. It's the invisible, functional power that animates us, kind of like the electricity. Its yin partner is blood, or shu, and this represents the tangible, nourishing stuff that fuels us. It's the gasoline. You need both. You can have a spark, but with an empty tank, you're going nowhere. So this brings us to a really crucial question in section 3, the yin and balances. If health is all about this perfect balance, then what happens when things get out of whack? Through this energetic lens, what is illness, really? Let's just ask that question directly. Forget what you know about viruses and bacteria for just a second. From this point of view, what is a disease at its absolute core? And the answer is actually really simple and kind of profound. A disease isn't some foreign invader attacking you. It's a state of internal disharmony. Your system has just tipped too far one way or the other. Too much yin or too much yang. Health is balance, disease is imbalance. That's it. And what's cool is how this framework logically sorts these imbalances. So is the problem something new and intense, like a bad flu? Well, that's seen as an excess of energy that needs to be calmed down or sedated. But what if it's something that's been dragging on for months, leaving you totally drained? That's a deficiency. Your system needs to be built back up or tonified. Here are two perfect examples you can probably relate to. A sudden, raging fever, that's a classic sign of excess yang, just way too much heat and activity. So the goal is to cool things down. On the flip side, that feeling of complete burnout from chronic stress, that's a classic yin deficiency. Your body's deep, nourishing reserves, the fuel in the tank, have been used up. The goal here isn't to calm anything down, it's to rebuild and refuel. Okay, which leads us straight to section 4, and the next logical question, right? If our bodies are designed for balance, what on earth disrupts the flow? What are the things that trigger these imbalances in the first place? Well, the system points to two main culprits, or pathogenic factors. First, you've got external forces from the climate, getting caught in extreme cold or living in a really damp place. But then, and this is so important, you have the internal emotional forces. And look at this list. Even joy is on there, which sounds kind of crazy, right? But the idea is that any emotion, when it's too extreme or goes on for way too long, can disrupt our internal harmony. To make this less abstract, let's just focus on one of these factors: wind. Now, in this system, wind isn't just a breeze, it's a quality of energy that's used to describe symptoms. So, is your pain moving from your shoulder to your elbow? That has a wandering wind quality. Do your symptoms, like hives, just show up suddenly out of nowhere? That's paroxysmal, like a sudden gust of wind. It's this amazing metaphorical language to describe what's actually happening in the body. And this right here shows the incredible link between our emotions and our physical body. So in this model, let's say someone is experiencing prolonged grief. That emotion is said to directly impact the lung system, basically eating away at its functional energy, its qi. Over time, that energetic drain starts to show up as real physical symptoms, maybe shortness of breath, a weak voice, or just catching every cold that goes around. The emotion literally helps create a physical reality. So let's bring this all home in our final section, an energetic worldview. Because really, to embrace this perspective requires a pretty fundamental shift in how we think about our bodies, moving away from the idea of a machine and towards the idea of an ecosystem.
Because at the end of the day, the goal here isn't just to make a cough stop or get rid of a headache. The real goal is to figure out the root cause of those symptoms, that underlying imbalance of yin and yang, and gently help guide the body back to its own natural, harmonious state.
So, to quickly recap the big ideas, the world is this incredible dance between yin and yang. Our bodies are just a small-scale version of that same dance. Health is when we're in that beautiful equilibrium. Illness is simply when we've lost it. And that balance can be thrown off by totally predictable things, from the weather outside to the feelings inside.
Ultimately, what we're looking at is a philosophy that puts harmony right at the center of everything. It suggests that health isn't just about the absence of germs, but about the presence of balance. It's a really profound way of looking at ourselves and our place in the world.
And so that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. What changes if we stop seeing our bodies as machines with broken parts that need to be fixed or replaced, and instead we start seeing them as delicate ecosystems that just need to be listened to, nourished, and gently brought back into balance?
Professor Dr. Rafat Hashmi stands as a true pioneer in acupuncture, representing decades of dedication and service. Over the last 40 years, he has helped thousands of patients regain health and harmony through his expert practice. His wisdom, experience, and compassionate healing approach remain a powerful source of confidence, balance, and hope for those seeking lasting wellness.